welcome to All Directions Podcast.
Hello everyone. In case you didn't understand that, by the way, it was podcast.
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 Podcast. Podcast.
Whatcast?
Pewd.
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 Pew.
Like pew pew.
No pies though,
When was the pies?
because someone has pewed in the pie.
You'd never offered me pie.
I haven't. No. Well, could you classify as a sausage roll as a pie? I mean,
No.
it's a filling surrounded in like pastry.
Well, I mean, no.
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 Is that just
It's
because?
a pastry.
Yeah. Well,
It's not a pie.
well, it's not just
It's
a
the wrong
pastry.
shape for a pie to begin with.
Yeah.
There's a reason a pie chart's called a pie chart, Chris.
Because it's circular.
Because it's circular. Right?
What is it? Wait.
A pie is a circular pastry.
No, you can have square pies.
Well, they're obviously not good pies. Then.
They're not good pies. Isn't like a
Not if
steak?
they're square.
Isn't steak and kidney usually like
No, it's
oblong?
completely round.
Is it?
Yes.
I've seen Greg sell square ones.
Are you sure you're not thinking of a pasty?
No. It's, it came in it was square and it came like in one of those tin holders I usually get a pie in.
Right. Well, I've seen not that I eat them, but
Yeah.
I've seen many steak and kidney pies.
Yeah.
And they're always round. Always.
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 I don't know. I'm sure they have like a handheld version. That's like
A handheld version.
yeah, you just
Or
hold
pie.
Yeah. Oh, what?
Hello. It's not what you clicked on this episode for.
Hey, look, I can't help it. I'm hungry.
Well, I think just before we get on with what the actual main topic of the show is today, we'll quickly run off an update from last week's episode.
Yeah.
Because by the time you would have gotten it, it would have actually been slightly outdated.
Exactly.
And we were fully aware of that, by the way. So, yeah, as it turns out, deal's done, Chris.
Yep. It is.
Disney now owns everything Fox has ever done and ever will do in terms of the movie division and the
TV,
television
yeah.
division.
Yeah.
Not that they're going to get everything, like I said, because actually Fox owns a DC property as well.
Oh, what?
A DC property.
Oh, okay.
You know, the other superhero
Yeah.
faction. They've got a TV show called Gotham.
What about Supergirl?
That's not Fox.
Not Fox.
No.
It's, no, wait,
It's,
that's NBC, isn't it?
It's now it's CW.
CW.
It used to be the sister channel
Uh-huh.
of CW, but I think it went over to CW.
Okay.
So, I never see why it wasn't just on CW in the first place. It was relatively in the same universe.
It's relatively popular, wasn't it?
Well, it wasn't good, so I don't know how. I tried watching it like it was a struggle.
Yeah.
It was a struggle.
I
And I was like, I thought I'd give it a chance because I've heard that Martian Manhunter's in it, so I'm going to power through it
Yeah.
until I get to that bit. And if I still can't hack it by that point, then... And I thought maybe I'll try it again now that Superman's coming into the mix. But I just can't bring myself back around to trying it.
Isn't the Superman more like the Christopher Reeves version?
I think he's meant to be closer to the Christopher Reeve version.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, but I couldn't hack the show. There's just so many stupid plot lines and just times where it was kind of like they tried to... It was almost like they tried to link it to the original Superman movie. But then it like undermined the Superman character in doing that. So it's just, at that point, I just couldn't... Like I said, I couldn't watch it anymore.
I thought it was trying to link it towards Superman Returns.
No, it mentions a scene that happens in Superman 3. I've told you this one before.
Yeah.
There's this, I can't remember the exact details of it, but there's the scene where they're kind of like, there's a chemical lab or something, and like the chemicals are oozing out of these like vials. It's the same ooze that he uses to destroy the computer at the end of the film.
Okay.
And basically, I think Supergirl mentions that exact same lab and scenario. And Supes apparently didn't save somebody from that lab, and so he got infected with all the stuff, and it turned him into something. But Superman could never defeat this guy because he's weak to this guy for some reason, so he has no ability to stop him.
Okay.
And but Supergirl can do it for some reason. For some reason, she can stop him, but Superman can't.
Yeah.
The female Kryptonian, who's less experienced.
Wait, isn't it a mother?
Not in the particular thing I'm talking about,
No.
but in some of the arcs that go with the whole family ties and everything, like it's either Supergirl's mom or Kal-El's mom or something is actually evil in the show.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's her mom.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
So
they're not the only Kryptonians. Ooh.
I just,
wait, Zod never made an appearance, I don't think.
No, but it's like I wouldn't care about there being more Kryptonians, but it's just the fact that why make part of the L family evil? It's kind of kills the whole point of the L family.
Yeah,
but whatever.
Wait, hold on. Didn't the Flash turn up in Supergirl?
It was actually a good episode.
Huh?
I didn't watch the one where they were singing, but the first episode was pretty decent. It was the only episode of Supergirl I've watched that I enjoyed. But that's because I like the Flash.
So does that mean the same TV channel owns the rights to the Flash TV series?
Yes.
Okay.
I said, originally, the sister channel owned Supergirl, but now they're all under the same roof. So Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, and whatever other shows they've got coming. I've really lost track of them. I haven't watched any of the shows in like 1.5 years. I really need to catch up on them. So either way, that is completely not the reason you clicked onto this video. We just thought we'd give you a quick update.
Yeah.
You're here for Star Wars.
Yes.
Yes. So here's the basic rundown of the show. I think the first 20 minutes, we both agreed, are going to be completely spoiler-free. So if you haven't seen the movie, you can still continue to watch. This is going to us give our brief thoughts.
And if it does turn out to be not spoiler-free, we'll have the editor tell you so.
The editor will tell you so. So don't worry about that. And then after the 20 minutes, the rest of the show will be basically very spoiler-heavy. So if you have seen the movie and you want to listen, help remember some of the details or just listen to someone run through it, basically... That's what we're going to do. Although, I got to say, might be difficult because this is not a film that you see once.
No.
And this is a film that we have currently seen once.
Yep.
So, trying to run through everything because there's a lot to take in this film.
I had the theory that they've done it purposely so that people go and see it again.
Oh, well, it's very good for them in that situation because I think there's a lot of people that are going to go see this film a second time around. Yeah. Which is obviously very good for the film. And that in itself should tell you something about the film. It's not like, oh, it's bad, so do I go check it out again just to determine whether or not I do think it's bad? No, it's like you're kind of given that much stuff to sort of take in.
It's really hard to digest.
And it is very hard to digest. And you sort of I was watching a couple of the critics, and they were said after they seen it the first time round, they refused to give a review for it, basically, because they still didn't know what they thought about the film. They had to see it a second time before they could divulge everything. But
I mean, they could have at least given first impressions.
Yeah, but it was one of those things where it's like, no, I'm not giving you anything until I actually know what I think about this film, because I don't want to flip-flop on what I'm telling you. And I think it ended up being the case where he's thankful that he did, because he ended up enjoying the film a lot more the second time around. Not that he didn't enjoy it the first time around, but it's just it's easier to take in that stuff when you've seen it the second time because you've got you know what to expect. All the expectations that you had going in are dropped, and you sort of just get to experience the film for what it is. But anyway, in a spoiler-free way, is there anything sort of in particular, maybe character-wise, performance-wise, anything that stood out?
Oh, that's the one. Comedy didn't really sit well with me.
Oh yeah, so I think that was something you mentioned to me.
Yeah.
On the way back yesterday after you'd seen it. So you thought the comedy was a bit hit and miss.
Yeah, exactly. Comedy is great in movies, especially with the one that runs as long as the new Star Wars film.
2 hours and a half.
2 hours and a half.
Yep.
Wait, including the credits, does that make it
No, that's the full runtime of the film.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I have a love-hate relationship I have love-hate relationships with movies that run an extreme length, and and they tried to give the whole like Guardians of the Galaxy vibe, like here and there, which is something that I felt from the Star Wars movie. I did feel like it's a little bit Guardians of the Galaxy-ish at points, especially with what do you call them, the new Ewoks.
Oh, are you talking about the Pogs?
Yeah,
I didn't think they were that bad, to be honest with you.
No, I just think it's again one of those things to me that give it a Guardians of the Galaxy kind of vibes, like trying to lessen the seriousness of the.
I will say,
movie.
Going into the film, just because everyone, like, well, not literally everyone, but like a large portion of like hardcore Star Wars fans and all that. There's like going on about these Pogs for months on end, ever since they've been first shown in the trailers. There's a whole thing called like Pog Nation and all that shit. And I was a little concerned that the Pogs were going to get overused in this film, and that they're actually going to have like a plot point kind of deal. And I have to say, for me personally, I think they were used pretty well in the film. I don't think they weren't like forced into anything, they were just sort of peppered in throughout the film. They didn't really have like a significance, let's say, in the film.
Well, apart from Chewie.
But I have to say, in terms of like your thoughts on the comedy side, it's not that I don't disagree about the humor being hit and miss. I do think with a lot of Disney films, a lot of their films have this like commonality with like there's humor peppered in throughout the film, start to finish, and it's always very hit and miss. But by no stretch of the imagination is this like, I wouldn't say they could take it as far as what the Marvel movies do.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think of something like Avengers 2, right? That the main thing that ruined that film for me, and I don't hate the film, but the main thing that ruined it was there was joke after joke after joke just running through the entire film, start to finish, even during like really serious moments that shouldn't have been any jokes for. And a lot of them were hit and miss. Even the ones that hit don't hit so much anymore because I've heard them a dozen times. So it kind of kills the enjoyment of the film, and it stops me from being able to take the scenario seriously that's going on. So I'm like, it loses the stakes. I didn't feel that way during the Last Jedi. I thought, yes, okay, there's some jokes. I was like, okay, that didn't make us laugh, and some of them which were actually really good. One in particular, the one we mentioned earlier today before the start of the podcast. But I never felt like, they're just constantly going on with the jokes here. It's actually relatively serious throughout a big portion of the film. So I didn't really have too much of an issue with the humor itself for me. I thought majority of it worked, and the ones that didn't were just sort of passed over, to be honest with you. So I wasn't too fussed. I have to say, one thing I did really enjoy about the film was Adam Driver, the guy that plays Kylo Ren. I've loved him since I saw him in Force Awakens. It's the intensity that he brings to the role. He's completely the opposite from Vader, who's like just calm and cool, collected, and which you'd make me think, well, maybe you shouldn't like Kylo as much, because obviously, Vader's like my favorite Star Wars character, as he is a lot of people's. But I just love the intensity that he brings to that character when he's got a purpose and he knows exactly what he wants. And I was like, please bring that back to this film, and he did. It's from the way that he projects like his words, facial expressions, and to the way that he just like, even the way he moves, it's like this very intense, little unpredictability to him. That's because he doesn't exactly fully know what he's after. So I was quite impressed.
I like him more now.
Yeah.
In the previous film, I didn't find him intimidating whatsoever. I found him to... My immediate impression of him was he is a kid with a very deep voice.
Yeah.
I couldn't be intimidated by that. In fact, another thing about the first movie, in fact, it's about Kylo Ren in general. Although it's fixed in this movie. In the first movie, in the last movie, in the movie before that, I couldn't. There was a lot of times where I couldn't understand Kylo in the helmet.
Right.
When you sat me down to watch the last 30 minutes, there were times where I was, what did he say? What did he just mumble? So I was rather glad that his helmet was off for the most point in this movie, so I could understand him.
You see, it's funny because I never struggled to understand him once during episode 7. There was a couple of moments when he had the mask on in episode 8 where I couldn't make out what he was saying. And they didn't have, I don't think there was really any difference in terms of the effects that they put on his voice. But just for some reason, some of the enunciations weren't as clear, where I found them to actually be quite clear in The Force Awakens. So, but that's not really much of a gripe. It might be something that I pick up on the second time around. But yeah, really enjoyed his performance, like I said. I think majority of their performances were actually quite good.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I was just trying to think of what else I can really say while keeping out of spoiler territory.
How about the performance of Rey?
I thought it was good. Yeah. I mean, I think it was better than it was in Force Awakens.
Yeah.
I think if there's anyone that's watching that's from the US, you get a lot of people from the US who think like Daisy Ridley's performance in Force Awakens was outstanding and everything. And I've noticed, and I thought this myself as well, and I think you probably think the same thing. In Force Awakens, and we pick up on this because of the fact we're from the UK and she's got a British accent, especially in the first half of The Force Awakens, she's very theatrical.
Yeah.
As like a theatre performer. Like she's on stage kind of thing. She's over enunciating her words, a bit too projected, to a point where it worked perfectly on stage. But in the real world, it's a bit less believable that she's not just reading off of the script. And as opposed to just saying it naturally. Where I found in this film, I believed what it was. That anything that was coming out of her mouth, I was believing it. So she's definitely improved tenfold.
I think we could actually call the over projecting, especially someone who's been on stage and stuff. We could call that theatre disease.
It probably is, but and that's not to say at all that she's a bad actress.
No.
We're not throwing hate at her.
No. If she was doing the same performance on stage, it would work really well.
She's a great actress. It's just like a majority of her experience is obviously her on theatre. So that's what she's used to, and she's bringing that over into a film role, which isn't always a bad thing. It's just sometimes it doesn't translate over onto the big screen. So, like I mean,
it'll vary from character to character, but certainly with Rey, it doesn't really work in the first.
Yeah. So I think one thing probably have to warn is that this film does a lot in terms of answering the questions that have been. We're not going to go into it, like I said, spoiler-free kind of deal. But yeah, it does. This film basically says, you're asking this question, well, here's the answer. You're asking this question, here's the answer.
No, but I've got even more questions now.
But at the same time, you're still left with questions.
Yeah.
But in doing that, I think that's one of the big factors in why this film leaves you in a point where you need to see that second time round, because the questions have been answered and there's still not you've still not maybe fully digested that. And now you've got all these new questions coming in. You're like, okay, well, where is it going from here? So I think that's a big part of the reason. So it's accepting that those questions have now been answered, which is part of the struggle, which is why I think that you've got the beauty of going to see it that second time, because those expectations aren't there anymore. So those questions are getting answered. It's easier to then go and accept them. You can just take it for what it is at face value. I did have another point, actually, slightly separate, that I was going to make.
I'll finish up some about previous point that you made, along with the questions and answers and finding out stuff and wanting to know more. There's something in this movie, in fact, there's a couple of things in the movie that I want answered. And not to say that I hate the things that I'm going to mention in a bit, but some things are unexpected.
There are things unexpected in this film. In fact, what I will say is, for anyone that has concerns about this film, because I don't personally feel this, but because they personally feel that Force Awakens was just a copycat movie of the original trilogy kind of deal, That is definitely not the case with this film.
Mhm.
This is a very different Star Wars
It
movie.
is.
I don't really know what much else I can say other than the fact it is a very different Star Wars movie. There is unexpected things. There's things that you've never really seen in a Star Wars movie before, but still feel Star Wars nonetheless.
There might be one or two things that you can see coming, but that's about it.
Yeah. You know, it throws you for like several loops and all that kind of stuff. But I know obviously what you're talking about or what you're referring to. I have to say that for me personally, although sure, maybe I'd like to see it explained. It doesn't really bother us either way. I wasn't necessarily expecting what happened to happen that particular way, but I didn't have a problem with it. To me, it's easily explained, and it didn't bother. It didn't take us out of the film. It was a surprise, but it didn't like take us out of the film completely. So overall, from what you can piece together, do you have a rough stance on where you are with this movie? Do you like the movie? Is this the worst film you've ever seen?
No. By no stretch of the imagination is it the worst. I mean, I've seen some of the stuff that Nostalgia Critic has reviewed. No, it's not a bad movie. It's an enjoyable watch. I enjoyed it so much that all the snacks that I bought practically went uneaten. I ate most of the snacks during during the trailers and during maybe the first 10 minutes of it, but then I had to quickly put it down because I really I just want to watch the movie right now. Thank you.
In prerequisite, he had like 5 separate bags of snacks.
No, I had 2. No.
Felt like 5.
No, wait, sorry. I had this particular bag packed to the brim with snacks, and I was expecting, to one have my food for the day and also watch the movie at the same time to fill two needs at the same time. I didn't. I fulfilled one need with Star Wars, didn't fill the other with my food.
Yeah, I think right now where I stand in the film, I don't have I couldn't rank it right now.
Yeah.
In amongst all the other Star Wars movies, but I have a suspicion it might not end up being my favorite Star Wars movie of all time, but it might end up damn near close. Usually it ends up being the case when I walk out of a film very unsure of how I feel about the film, and a film that's so dense that it takes a while to digest. I often find that after having viewed it several more times, you keep picking up on new stuff that you didn't pick up on the first time, and it ends up being so much more enjoyable to just keep going back and rewatching. So I have a very strong feeling that I'm going to end up loving this movie. It's just right now I'm still in the process of digesting everything that occurred.
Yeah. I think personally I'd probably rank it second favorite Star Wars.
I think that's where it's going to end up for me. But I don't want to put that stamp down just yet. I'm not committed to second place.
Out of curiosity, what's your first?
Funnily enough, my first is what used to be my last, which is Empire.
Oh, okay.
I used to. It was back when I was a child, and remember, our generation grew up with the prequels. So we obviously enjoying the prequels, and enjoying the very original Star Wars movie. Going into Empire Strikes Back, I used to think it was the most boring fucking Star Wars movie that existed. I was like, why does this exist?
Yeah.
This is shit. And then when I was a lot older, I went back and rewatched it, and having matured and all that stuff, I ended up enjoying the film so much more, and I've watched it several more times since. Still don't think it's a perfect movie by any stretch, but I thoroughly enjoyed Empire, so I do have that ranked as number 1 for me right now. Vader's a very big reason as to why Empire is so high up, as he's got so much of a role to play in that movie, a lot more so than the other two. But yeah, so I'm suspecting that it's going to end up being Empire than The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
But I'm not committed to that just yet. Out of curiosity, what is your first?
Phantom Menace.
Really?
Yes.
Phantom Menace. Is that just because of Maul?
Well, Maul, I couldn't really say that Phantom Menace is my favorite just because of Maul. He's not solely the reason. I do like his character, and I do like the stuff that they did with him in Rebels and what was the one before that?
Clone Wars.
Clone Wars. I do like that stuff. I haven't seen either of the series, but the clips that I've seen on YouTube, it makes me want to see more of Maul, and it makes me even sad at the fact that Disney, when they bought out Star Wars, that fucking Maul game was cancelled.
Well, I do have to say, Chris, if you are a fan of Darth Maul, you do need check out Clone Wars and check out Rebels.
Yeah,
Maul has a fantastic story in Rebels.
He really does.
And it's definitely worth checking out. So, but yeah, go on. So, I imagine Qui-Gon's a big reason, a big factor.
Qui-Gon, I enjoy Qui-Gon.
Because we both loved Qui-Gon.
Yeah. He is my favorite Jedi. Yeah. Especially after like I found out like lore behind him and stuff, and his origins and whatnot. So in terms of Jedi, for me it's Qui-Gon and Yoda. But my reason why Phantom Menace stacks as the first for me is because, one, it's the first Star Wars I ever seen. Grew up on the prequels. Two, the fucking choreography.
Choreography,
in comparison to the first trilogy, it's really good throughout the 3 prequels. It made me actually kind of sad to see like the earlier Star Wars and be like, it's kind of lame. It's very theatrical, yes, but it's in terms of choreography, it's really lame. It really amped up. I think, wasn't Star Wars the prequels one of the reasons why like action movies like kind of amped up the action?
Well, aspect. It's one of the big reasons as to why they were capable of amping up the aspect in the first place. I mean, the stuff that George Lucas brought out in the prequels, which just changed cinema altogether, because he basically created stuff that had never been done before in film, and so all these new possibilities came out of it. So yes, the prequels did in fact do a lot of that. So it's good to know. You know, your favorite Star Wars movie is the one that introduces Jar Jar.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. I don't mind Jar Jar. You don't mind Jar Jar?
I don't hate Jar Jar. He has these moments where he gets on my nerves. But mostly in the Clone Wars series is when he really irritates the shit out of us. The only way I can get past that is just by going along with the whole Darth Jar Jar theory. That's the only way I get through it in like the Clone Wars stuff. But in the films, he doesn't irritate us that much, to be honest with you. I don't.
I'll quickly take a sip.
Yeah. But
I'll mention the reason why Phantom Menace is my most utterly favorite Star Wars is because, one, it introduced me to the franchise. And two, which is probably the most important thing of all, it makes me appreciate the original trilogy even more.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool stuff. I have to say, just as a bit of a counterpoint, I don't think all the choreography is lame in the original trilogy. I think it's mostly just Episode 4's fight between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan. That's kind of lame.
No, but even like the duel between Vader and Lucas,
I think the Vader and Luke fights are actually really good. They're not like super like as action packed as what the prequel fights are. Although I've got to say the prequels overdid it sometimes. Like as much as Revenge of the Sith is my favorite in terms of the prequel era. But the fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin, there's literally a scene where the two of them are standing right next to each other and they're just swinging their lightsabers left and right, not even touching each other. Like, is one of you going to take a swing at each other? And that goes on for about like 3 minutes. What is this? I didn't pick up on that as a child, but rewatching it when I was older, I was like, what?
After the swinging around circuit, do they then go to...
Yeah, but after like 3 minutes of just doing that.
Because I don't understand like the 3-minute thing, but I actually understand that because I believe it's supposed to be building momentum, which is one of the most important things in a lightsaber duel.
Yes, but once again, it didn't need to go on for as long as it
did. No.
So it's just like, had it just been a 5-second thing or a 10-second thing, 10 seconds might have been pushing it, but you know, within the second mark, or at least single digits second mark, then fair enough.
Yeah.
But it goes on for quite a bit. So they did overdo it a little bit in the prequel stuff. But no, I just think in terms like the original trilogy has a bit more like yes, they're meant to be like super trained Jedi Knights and everything in the prequel era, but there's an element of realism in the original fights. Once again, with the caveat of Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader, which I had assumed that Rogue One had dealt with and basically explained why the fight is the way it is, but then Rebels counteracts it.
Oh.
Yeah. Basically, I know this isn't Last Jedi talk, but we'll get through this bit quickly.
They've had enough time to see Rogue One.
Yeah. So at the end of Rogue One, right, there is this unbelievable scene with Darth Vader. It's fucking amazing, right? And so you're like, well, if Vader can fight like this, and then in 2 hours' time, he has that fight with Obi-Wan, what does that mean? And that basically informed me that wasn't Vader being, like, that wasn't how Vader actually fights in terms of his fight with Obi-Wan. That's just him playing with Obi-Wan because Obi-Wan's grown old and he's weak now. And so Vader's just toying with him. So I was like, okay, now I can fully embrace Episode 4's fight between Vader and Obi-Wan. But then Rebels comes in, and in, like, not the season that's currently running, but the season before, you have basically the last confrontation between Darth Maul and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Just ignore that. You have the last confrontation between Obi-Wan and Darth Maul. And Obi-Wan slices down Maul within 3 seconds.
Yep.
It's like you blink and you miss it. I'm like, right, this isn't that far away from Rogue One. If Obi-Wan can fight like that in this, and Vader can fight like that in Rogue One, what's the excuse? I mean, I get what the real-life excuse is in Episode 4, but what's the canon inside universe excuse?
Oh, I believe it's because Maul was performing the exact same pattern he was...
No, I mean, if Obi-Wan could fight as good as he fought to kill Maul in 3 seconds, and Vader can take out as many people as he can in 10 seconds in Rogue One, what's the excuse in Episode 4 for the sluggish fight? You know, where it's very basic swings in a couple hits. It's because it's the worst fight of the entire Star Wars saga. So then I thought Rogue One's fixed it. But then Rebels negates that fix because now apparently they're both still really good fighters with a lightsaber. So I'm like, there is no inside universe excuse for why it's such a bad fight in Episode 4. I get that you were trying to show like how far Maul had fallen and how balanced Obi-Wan was. But I at least feel like had you stuck to how Obi-Wan fought in Episode 4, yes, it means you drag out the fight a bit longer, but had you done that, at least then you've got an explained reason for why the fight happens the way it does in Episode 4. So I was a bit disappointed that they went and did that, and I'm surprised nobody else has actually brought that up. At least I've not seen anyone else bring that up.
Right.
But yeah. Anyway, I think it's about time we jumped into the spoiler section.
Spoiler time
of Last Jedi. So if you are still watching, despite the fact we went off topic, it's not Star Wars, but not on Last Jedi ages ago, you haven't seen the film, now's the time to tune out, guys. Because we're getting spoiler heavy.
Away with you.
Bye. I'll give you like 5 seconds.
There's buttons for you to press, but...
oh yeah, press those buttons, by the way. Cheers. Okay.
I don't know why you're still here. You just said that you didn't want spoilers.
You're going to spoil the movie for yourself, dude.
I mean, if you want to stay.
Yeah, but you're going to find out everything. Well, as much as we can remember.
Yeah.
There's a lot to take in.
There is.
So much. Okay.
Last chance.
Bye.
Bye.
Right, guys.
Hello.
We'll finally talk about this movie, can't we? Okay, then. What do you want to jump into first?
I have no idea. Like I said, there's a lot to take in.
Although, there is a lot to take in.
I don't even know if, like, going for a second viewing is actually going to do it for me. I'm probably going to have to get the DVD or something. I'm
definitely getting the Blu-ray for this film. And watching it several times.
Oh, yeah.
But
back to back?
Maybe not back to back. It's a lot to go through in one film, so I probably need a break after watching it, kind of thing. But, yeah. And right now, I hope to, at some point, go back to the cinema and see it again. It's just I need to make the time for it, because I've got, like, quite busy. So, but...
oh, we should mention that we didn't see it in IMAX 3D.
Didn't see it in IMAX. We had the option to see it in IMAX, but it was only a 3D screening. And I'm not that fond of 3D. and neither's this guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just went to the regular 2D screening.
And you can blame Transformers for that.
You can basically blame 3D in general for that.
I blame Transformers.
I've never thoroughly enjoyed a movie when I went to see it in 3D.
Mm-hmm.
I've went to the cinema before, seen a film for the first time in 3D, walked out being like, I don't know what I thought of this movie.
Yeah.
Because I was very distracted by the stuff that was meant to be 3D.
Exactly.
And then I go and see it in regular 2D the second time round, walk out, I fully know what I think of the film. I enjoyed the film or I didn't enjoy the film.
Yeah.
So 3D has just done nothing but distract me from the movie. So I never go to see a 3D film ever again.
Although if you do have the option to just go see it in a regular IMAX, go ahead.
Oh, if you can see it in regular IMAX, jump on that.
Yeah. Because, like, is it standard definition that we went to see essentially in terms of cinematography?
No, it was still like fully HD and everything.
Really? Because it looked a little grainy to me.
No, it was still fully HD.
Oh, okay.
You'll still get like a bit of like you can watch a Blu-ray and there'll still be a bit of grain in some of the shots of the films. I've noticed that plenty of times, but no, it was like full on HD and everything.
Right. It's just there was something about the movie that just didn't look quite right on the cinema screen.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't find that. In fact, the only thing I noticed is, despite the fact that I think I probably liked the shots more in The Last Jedi, I think the cinematography might, at least the colours from the cinematography, the colour grading side and everything, and particular angle shots, might have been a bit more on the beautiful side in The Force Awakens. But The Force Awakens was this happier, easier watch kind of a film.
Yeah.
So it didn't like degrade the film at all for me. Well, we can jump into some of the simple stuff, if you can remember much of it at the beginning. Actually, I will say one thing. I remember thinking to myself, so this film starts off like 10 seconds after, at the end of Force Awakens. How are they going to pull off a crawl? Because every official episode of Star Wars pulls off a crawl. And they managed to give you a fully informative crawl in the film. I know this is spoilers. I can't run through what the crawl says. I've only seen the film one time. I don't remember a word of it.
Off by heart. Although there's probably like somebody who's written it down.
There's
online.
It's probably up on the internet somewhere of someone that's seen it 52 times by now.
If you want to go and go find that, you can. It's technically not spoilers because it's from the last movie.
It is a spoiler. I mean, if you're a big Star Wars fan, you don't want to see the crawl until you sat there in front of the cinema. There's something that's special about when the music kicks in and then the crawl starts. But yeah, because I remember thinking, okay, is it going to open up? Is it going to it's going to have that space pattern that it always does? Is it going to start off with doing that and then take you straight into a planet and have Rey hand Luke the lightsaber? Or is it going to have some kind of space battle? But have they got time for that? Because, they need to. And when it first opens up, they've got you see all these ships and then it does this weird zoom thing throughout space. Like all these things are ships and everything are going past you. And I'm like, this is them about to zoom into the planet, isn't it? I'm like, the planet looks a little different, but okay. And then it's like, it wasn't. It was a full on space battle and everything with Poe, who I will say, I think Poe was really good in this film. I really enjoyed him. Mostly, he had a lot more to do in this film than he did in the last one because he was meant to die in Force Awakens.
He was meant to die?
He was originally meant to die in The Force Awakens. He was just a write-off character, to bring you into the film, and then essentially the section where the ship crashes into the sand and Finn's by himself. He pulls the jacket out. Yeah, Poe was meant to be dead at that point in the film, and it's either something because of the fact that they cast Oscar Isaac, that they then chose not to kill him off, or because Oscar Isaac called J.J. Abrams up and said, dude, I'm getting sick of playing characters that die off within the first 10 minutes of the film. Can you keep us alive in this one? And so then they rewrote him back into the script, basically.
You think they'll kill him off in the third?
No, I don't. Well, I don't know, because they could do anything in the next film.
They could. It's left wide open.
But even in terms of where the next one's going to end, I have no idea where they're going to actually head with the next film, but any of the characters can die because they're not following episode 9 up with episode 10, 11, 12. They're doing a completely new trilogy after that. And then maybe in years to come, they'll hit episodes 10, 11, and 12.
I don't think they could go elsewhere in the galaxy with it. Because
what's good?
Here's the thing, and it's one of those movie tropes that I really don't like, is especially when you got a trilogy, and I think it's a recent thing, is you have the start, you have your build up, and then you fall, and then you build up again.
Mm-hmm.
That pattern's been repeated so many times, and I don't know if I want like the end of the movie. Essentially, most of the rebels are gone. I don't want the next movie to be like, yeah, we're gonna gather more people, and we're gonna build an even bigger army, and we're gonna fight against the First Order. It doesn't feel right to me the way that they've done Star Wars thus far.
Right.
It's like I wouldn't mind like them hinting towards like the rebels are getting built up and regaining their ranks and stuff. I wouldn't mind that, but I don't want it to be like a central point in the movie.
Right, but like when the next film ends, it's going to end with a full-on conclusion. So whatever has been set up throughout episodes 7 and 8 is going to end in episode 9. The story's finished. It's done. And then the next trilogy that's going to follow it isn't literally going to follow it. It's going to be set at any period of time. It's probably not going to be set after, because that would then hinder creativity when they do choose to continue the story arc. But, like, for example, as I briefly mentioned to you yesterday, there's a very good chance it might not be set around the story of what the game established, but there's a very good chance that the next trilogy that happens could be set during the time period of the Old Republic. So then you're going thousands of years back before even the prequel movies happened. You don't have to touch anything that's happened throughout the established Star Wars movies so far. You have a completely new story arc. No Skywalkers mentioned because they don't exist. No Kenobis mentioned because they don't exist. You know, all that stuff. You can just set up a brand new story arc that you can then spin off completely brand new stories from there. And then you have two completely separate sagas of Star Wars that still very much feel like Star Wars and not interweave literally in terms of having like connections to each other, but can interweave in terms of chronology in watching them in terms of the chronological order. So personally, I think that's the best place to go, is to go back into the past, back when there were thousands of Sith and thousands of Jedi.
And they used Force swords.
Maybe not go that far back. You need a lightsaber.
No, but, you can get the Proto Saber in there.
You know. Well, yeah, they can have a dozen different stuff. I'm not too sure just yet if I want to go as far back as like the origin of the Jedi or the origin of the Sith. But seeing a time period where there's more than two Sith, I'm very much for. I'd be a little sad of the fact that they're probably not going to canonize Revan and all of them in the films as much, but I would fucking love it if they did.
Yeah.
But even so, I would just be excited just for it to be in that time period. It could be entirely different from what the game's set up, but just because it's in that time period, I would be excited for those movies.
Potentially, that could be a good title. It won't be as far back as probably what you want, but Star Wars: The Rise of Plagueis.
Not as far back as I would want. No, I don't think they do that. Not as a trilogy.
Yeah.
They do that as a one-off. There's a Star Wars story movie. The ones that aren't the ones that come out every other year, opposite of the anthology movies.
Yeah.
Because one of the shows I was watching said that they thought, and I think they were completely right, the guy that you get to play a young Palpatine in the film is Tom Hiddleston. The grin that he put, the guy that plays Loki basically in the Marvel movies, right. The way he's grin, his personality, the way he acts, he'd be a very good young Palpatine. I think he'd pull that role off fantastically. And he's already with Disney doing like all the Marvel stuff. And that's probably going to come to an end real soon. So you could jump on board with a Star Wars movie. And it would be a one-time thing. Like I said, it would just be for one movie. It'd be cool to introduce the Plagueis character.
As long as they don't have Loki hair, because he looked too much like Kylo.
No, he wouldn't. I don't know what he would have for hair, because I was like, no, well, he wouldn't have next to any hair, would he? But now I'm like, well, Palpatine was old. That's probably why he didn't have a lot of hair.
I mean, there are comic books about Palpatine and Plagueis. So, I mean, they could take the looks more from the artwork.
I think since it's Disney anyway, they would intentionally make sure that Tom Hiddleston didn't have Loki hair. Otherwise, everyone would just associate him with Loki. But yeah, I think that would be good. And then that would definitively answer once and for all, even though I think it's pretty much obvious now anyway, that Snoke is not Plagueis.
No.
Speaking of Snoke dead.
Snoke dead.
Snoke is dead. Which, I have to say, although I approve of the way they did it, I'm sad that they did it. Because when they bring Snoke into this film, like I said, I'd heard interviews of like Andy Serkis was asked like, how powerful is Snoke? Is he more powerful than Vader and Palpatine? And he said yes. He's got unlimited resources. I don't know why he said resources instead of unlimited power.
Well, resources I would reckon would be like stuff like he can, if he wanted a starship.
Well, yeah, but it's just like, because obviously the quote from Palpatine would be unlimited power. So I just don't know why I didn't just quote that instead. But when you're first introduced to him, you're like, holy shit, this guy is fucking powerful. Yeah. You can actually, like, from the first 10 seconds of seeing him, you see just how much more powerful he is than both the Emperor ever was and Vader ever was. And, like, within the first half an hour, not half an hour, it's like 45 minutes into the film, he died. It is like, oh.
Wait, 45 minutes? Oh,
it's roughly,
2 hours and 30.
he doesn't last long in the movie.
I think he dies within the, like, last 30 minutes.
Oh, he's not in the film that long.
No?
No.
I don't think he appears that much. I think we were more focused on the Rebel side.
That's true. There was actually a lot of Resistance, like Rebel stuff in this. But it was just the way they introduced the character. I'm like, I really like the way you killed him off. But now that you've shown us his power and everything, I wish you'd utilized him more. I wish he hadn't just been a hologram in episode 7. And I wish he'd lasted longer in this film. Just because I want to know more about his character. And sure, yes, we're probably going to get it in, like, you know, comic books or novels games. Or whatever, games, all that stuff. But I don't want it in comic books, games, and actually, I do want it in movies. I want it in a film. You know, I want to be able to sit back, relax, and watch and learn about Snoke. So, yeah, there's a couple of characters that I think are underutilized that we thought were going to get a lot more time in the film. The main two being Snoke. Despite that his taking out was very cool, and his use in the film was very good actually. And Phasma, you know, the silver stormtrooper. I was expecting a lot more from her in this film, especially after everyone basically whinged about how she was underused in episode 7. She's barely in the film. She shows up for like 10 minutes and she's gone.
I think their only excuse would be that they've already got like a backstory between her and Finn already in the comics. But that's not much of an excuse.
But it's like, she was meant to be a write-off character originally. Her outfit was the original outfit Kylo Ren was going to wear. And then they came up, and then they came up with a different design for it altogether and decided that they weren't going to go with that. But they were like, but they really liked the design. Nonetheless, we're like, well, let's have another character wear that outfit. And so she was just a character that was going to be in the film. Just so happens that the cast a really good actress. I can't remember her name right now, but she's from Game of Thrones and stuff. And so then they start selling the toys of her and everything. And you say, here's all these toys of this character, and a really good actress is playing her. You're naturally then going to think she's going to play quite a big role in the film. And she doesn't, like, at all. So I can understand in episode 7 why people were let down by that. But I really thought they were going to rectify that with 2 hours and a half of a Star Wars movie sequel.
I thought she was going to be the Jango Fett extra.
Like, maybe she's got nearly just as much. I don't know. Like, you couldn't. Jango Fett's probably got a bit. Boba Fett, sorry, he's probably got a bit more time, screen time than what she does actually. But no, I thought she was going to be like the real full-on main antagonist of Finn in this movie. Like, he was going to encounter her pretty quick from the point in which he was captured, and then it was going to be like full-on dealing with Phasma. And Phasma was just going to lay it down on him after what he did to her in episode 7. And no, she's in like 10 minutes, and then into a fiery grave.
I think the only excuse. Oh wait, I think another excuse that they might make is it would have essentially been they would have had 2 master versus students kind of deal.
But you know, like, even so,
So I mean, it would have actually made a really good parallel between Finn and Rey.
So I don't know. So yeah, I wasn't so much let down by that because I wasn't like super hyped about the Phasma character anyway. Like, I thought she was cool and interesting, and I do wish they'd done more with her. But it wasn't like I'm going to see this film for Phasma, you know. So it didn't bother us too much. I will say, I mentioned this to you very briefly this morning. There was one scene which I wasn't. It didn't bother us per se, but I didn't love it in the film. The scene, where they're in the like casino section, and they've just seen the like not long before just seen the races, and they basically free the creatures, right? So it's the bit where they're basically riding on like horseback on them throughout the city for like a solid 10-15 minutes. Or at least it felt like 10-15 minutes.
They're not horses, by the way.
They're not horses. I don't know what they are.
There's something.
They have a name.
With large ears and necks.
I didn't much care for that section of it. I have to say, all the like all the Rey, Luke, Kylo stuff, all the Force stuff, the Jedi shit, loved every minute of it.
A lot of shit in this so far.
Oh yeah, we're unhinged now. We're uncensored now.
True.
So
we censored before.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We had to watch our mouths.
Oh, okay.
So loved all of that. I had times where I was like, when it went back to like the Resistance and Rebel stuff, but that was just because I was so invested in what was going on the other side of everything. Yeah. I was like, no, stay with that. I would say when it was the majority of this film with like the Resistance stuff is essentially just them trying to fly away from the First Order, which is actually quite intriguing and have quite a good story arc going on. I think probably Finn and Rose have maybe the weakest out of the three plot points that's going on in the film. I definitely didn't hate it as much as I think some people have. I've heard some people really didn't enjoy their story arc. I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was bad. I was a bit disappointed with Benicio del Toro's role in the film, the Master Codebreaker.
Yeah.
I didn't. I think once again it's just the fact that they cast Benicio del Toro to play the role. I was expecting a bigger part out of him. I'd heard rumors and everything that he was secretly going to be a Sith Lord and all that, and I was like kind of hoping because I was like that would really fit.
I thought he was going to flip flop from side to side.
You know when so he's just basically sold out all the information from Finn and Rose, and then they start blowing up the ships that are dispersing to the planet, and then the walkers start firing at the stormtroopers. Yeah. I thought that was him that went and activated it after like Finn said everything. So I was like, oh, he's just gonna keep flip flopping all the time. But then it turned out it was just BB-8.
I thought the boxes which I assume were filled with like casino chips. I thought they were going to be bombs, and he's like, he's already got a plan ahead of the game.
I don't know.
I did like his character though.
Yeah,
he was the, I don't want to say lovable rogue, like the asshole that you love to hate.
I think the stutter was an interesting choice that he made. I don't know if I like it or dislike it, to be honest with you.
I think it's a little underutilized because
you turn into him.
I am. Fair enough if you want to have them stutter, but like if you're going to have somebody who stutters, I mean it's I'm doing it. It's when somebody stutters, it's a thing that stays around. It's not something that I'm going to talk normally for a quite long period of time.
You tend to sound like him.
Yeah, it's not like I'm going to talk like a long period of time and have just like that 1 or 2 moments. It's a persistent thing.
There is like several points in the film where it's like you hear him do the stutter, and then he speaks normally for like a couple sentences, and you're like, did he stutter before? Did I just mishear something? And then he does the stutter again, and I'm like, oh, no, he definitely did stutter. But then he'll go a while not stutter, and it's like, okay. But that's like the kind of thing that then I think kind of took us out of it a bit, because it was like, you'd get sort of used to him not stuttering, and then it would pop up again. So I'm like, either just be consistent with it, basically.
It feels as if like he forgot he's supposed to be a stutterer.
Maybe.
And then he's like, oh, I'm supposed to stutter. No, okay, I'll do it.
But I'm curious as to who made the choice for the character that he was going to stutter. Was it Ryan Johnson, the director, or did Benicio del Toro decide, I think I'll have this character be a stutterer?
Yeah.
Which would then make it very weird if you forgot that the character was a stutterer and he was the one that made the choice in the first place. There's a couple other characters actually that I thought were utilised very well in the film that maybe had a bit of a lesser role to play in episode 7. General Hux The ginger guy.
The shouty man.
Yes, the shouty man. Because like in episode 7, I know a couple people that really hate his character, but
I don't mind him.
I actually quite like him. One thing from people that didn't like him, it was like, you know, the scene where he's basically stood up on the like podium and everything, and he's shouting to all the stormtroopers. It's like the big like Hitler speech.
That's good. It's good.
And it's like really intense. And it's like I've had a couple of friends that like he ruins the character with that bit. And I'm like, how? That bit's great. It's like that's what you would do.
It's literally his character.
So I liked his character from the first film, but I didn't think it was used enough. I think it was used spot on in this film. I think it was really good. I really liked him in this film.
To go to your point of things that take you out of the movie, don't like his comedy bit at the start.
You have to remind us.
Fucking Poe Dameron's talking to him via the comms.
I wouldn't have minded that bit had they not dragged it out so much. Had it been once or twice, you know, like at the beginning of Force Awakens, Poe says to Kylo, sorry, what were you saying? I can't understand you with all that. They don't drag it out. It's short and sweet, and it works. It's funny the first time you hear it, and then it passes you by every other time, so it doesn't drag out too much. It drags out a bit during that section. It's like three or four times where he says, sorry, is anyone there? Okay, I'll just put you on hold. I'm like, okay, I get it. Okay, just get on with it.
Is it me, or does it like fuck his character up too? Because I would feel like if someone was doing that to him, by what I've seen already from his character, if he didn't hear him, if he didn't hear him the first time, he would just fucking fire. You know?
I mean, like I said, there are a couple, like you even said, there are a couple of scenes in this film that are there literally just for the laugh.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see when I go back and watch it a second time whether or not that scene the scene we're talking about right now with the I'll put you on hold and everything really hurts it or anything. I don't think it's. I barely remembered it, to be honest with you, so it obviously didn't hurt the film too much for us, but it does drag out a little bit. I think if they just chopped a couple lines out of that, it would have worked, and then because after that you go straight onto the just fire up
pretty much anyway.
So if they just chopped a bit out of it, I think the only thing that threw us off is because we just watched Force Awakens at the time, and this is meant to be set not long after. Like Rey's character had gained a bit of face weight, and Hux had gained a bit of weight, but like he had like really bushy spiked up eyebrows this time around, which his eyes looked like super intense, which he didn't have in the first film. So I was like, okay, that's literally the first thing I'm noticing about you now.
He's trying to look scarier than Kylo.
He essentially is.
He's like, Kylo's got a scar on his face. I'm going to have eyebrows.
But no, I actually really enjoyed his character throughout the film. He has good moments, and like I'm really interested to see the relationship between him and Kylo in the next film now.
I really want him to portray Kylo. I don't know
there's no way he's going to continue working for Kylo because he hates him.
I don't know if I want it to be the case where he either seriously like maims Kylo or like just straight up like shoots him in the back and Kylo like ends up dying because of it. But I want that kind of tension kind of deal.
I mean, I could see that happening where Hux ends up being the one that actually kills Kylo in the end. I mean, I don't know, because I can't see Kylo just being taken out by a blaster.
No.
And that's the only way I could see Hux taking anybody out.
It would have to be like really thought out, very is he a good manipulator? I mean, he was a really good he was really trying to be buddy with Snoke. But I'm not too sure like how forward thinking he is. I mean, if he could pull off a plan to manipulate Kylo into doing something,
he's obviously quite forward thinking because he's the one that thought of tracking. He was the one that managed to track the ships through hyperspace. Right. So he's obviously got
light speed.
Sure. Yeah. So. Obviously, he is capable of like fully utilizing and coming up with a plan.
Yeah.
Because Snoke was quite proud of him. Just after he was about to kill him on the spot, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I said it'll be very interesting to see their relationship in the next film. I have to say, the one thing I really hope we get it in episode 9, but they've teased about it. Well, they teased in episode 7. I don't think we actually got a mention of it in episode 8.
We didn't see if there was after credits.
Though it's a Star Wars movie, there wouldn't be.
Mm.
There's never end credit to the Star Wars movie. We didn't see the Knights of Ren. I really wanted to see the Knights of Ren.
I wasn't even aware of them.
Because, like, well, they have that brief appearance in Force Awakens during Rey's vision when she touches the lightsaber. You see, like, all of them standing behind Kylo. And Snoke mentions a couple of times, you're the leader of the Knights of Ren. So it's like, okay, now show me the Knights of Ren. So I'm really, especially now that he's the new Supreme Leader, I'm really hoping the Knights of Ren come in and start dealing out some shit.
What if it turns out that Snoke isn't actually dead? And what if it turns out to be something similar to what Luke does? Because he is really powerful. He could pull off the same thing. Surely, like, if not easier.
But Luke was in a situation where he knew what was going on. Like, he knew the people that wanted to kill him, and the people that wanted him alive wanted him alive. So he was able to sort of pre-prep and plan for that. Whereas Snoke didn't. You know, he essentially, Kylo's just brought the person that he's very much after straight to him. So he's naturally thinking, yes, Kylo's definitely with the dark side now. Plus, he's seen the visions of Kylo turning the lightsaber and igniting it. So as far as he's concerned, he can't see any reason for Kylo to stab him in the back at that point. It's not like the two of them are Sith, so you wouldn't expect him to take any moment's chance to sort of kill him. So I don't think you kill Snoke off, especially not the way you do in that film, and then just bring him back in the next film. I think it's kind of, it makes a story point very meaningless. So I think that would really undermine what happens in Episode 8 if they were just to undo some of that.
I mean, if it turns out that Snoke is alive in Episode, was it 9? 9. If it turns out that he is alive, it wouldn't really surprise me all too much because he's an extreme manipulator. I don't know if I would go as far to say he's even more of a manipulator than Palpatine. But he's certainly on that level, if not higher. So it wouldn't surprise us if he's like done the whole like jigsaw thing where he's like, oh yeah, you were going to do this the whole time, and I knew, and I've just been manipulating the whole time, and you're going to be over here, so I'm going to plan for that as well. And if it's the outcome that something else happens, oh, that's already sorted.
I think the main reason I really don't think they're going to bring Snoke back is I think this film was setting up Kylo Ren to be the main bad guy, essentially, of this trilogy, despite the fact he's only got one film left to really do it. I think he was setting up to be the main bad guy because there was so many like speculations about, is Kylo going to get redeemed? Is Rey going to fall to the dark side? And they've flip-flopped you so many times in this film with that, where you're almost convinced they're going to turn Kylo good, where they get you for a little bit to think Rey might actually fall. And then the main thing, which I actually kind of wanted to happen, was that neither Kylo doesn't turn good, Rey doesn't turn bad. They just split off and form that complete new thing together. That isn't the Sith, isn't the Jedi, isn't what Snoke wanted. Something neutral that uses both the light and the dark side of the Force. And I was like, that would be really awesome if you did that. And I nearly thought that's what they were going to do. But then Kylo kills the pitch because he says, we can rule the galaxy together. And that is always the pitch that kills the pitch. So that was a bad choice of words, Kylo.
Yeah.
Bad choice of words.
Also, wait, hold on. Isn't it fucking weird? Because Yoda agrees with... Yoda appears, by the way.
Oh, yes. Yes, he does.
In a Muppet form.
Yeah.
A much better Muppet form.
I didn't know how I felt about it at first, when I first spotted him, because I was like, he looks a bit weird to me. And it wasn't because I was like so used to the CGI form, because I know what the puppet version looks like. He didn't look right at first, and then when they kept going back, like cutting back to him, I was getting more used to it, and so I accepted it.
When Yoda, who is like probably one of the biggest Jedis that ever existed,
he's actually one of the smallest Jedis, but
biggest in terms of influence.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
When he agrees that the Jedi Order should essentially not exist anymore. Holy fuck, Yoda's the one who said that. He doesn't regret it whatsoever, and he's like, yeah, just Jedi, just don't do it anymore. Shit, what was that? Yeah, when Yoda said that to Luke, and then Luke later says that there's still one more Jedi, and now Rey is a Jedi. You know, it defeats the whole purpose of balance, which is what we're looking. Which is what I believe the whole Star Wars hexalogy octilogy saga is looking for, just like a literal balance in the Force. But now, no, the Force is still unbalanced because you have light and dark.
Well, to be fair, since you do have somebody that is pure on the dark side of the Force now, with Kylo, he's almost going Sith level. You need that somebody that is pure light side. And by having somebody that is pure light side, it doesn't definitively make you a Jedi. You know, I think there's a few more steps to that, but that puts you in the realm of being Jedi because the Jedi don't use the dark side of the Force. I mean, some of them have done it sort of without anybody else's notice, but typically, following the rules of the Jedi, you don't use the dark side of the Force. So I think in the situation where, you know, Kylo's dead and Snoke's dead and everyone else, then it's not a good thing to have Rey be a Jedi, because then that's imbalance to the Force. Just as too much dark side is imbalanced, too much light side is imbalanced by definition.
I think they could have said it better in, like, instead of there's one Last Jedi, even like The Last Jedi is the name of the movie. I think they could have said something more along the lines of there's still someone who walks on the side of the light. Something like that. Because, like I say, it's established that the Jedi shouldn't exist. Even Yoda says it. Just let the Jedi die. I love the Jedi. We love the Jedi, but like, just let the... Also, they've called it religion now.
But that's what it is.
I know, but it's like it's never been said before, so it's like it was a little bit.
It might have been. It might have been. There's probably a moment like in the prequels or something where it's referred to as a religion.
Maybe.
I think there is. Yeah.
But yeah, just let the Jedi die. There isn't any Sith. Just no more Jedi.
I will accept fully the Jedi still technically being around in Episode 9, provided the Sith come back. But I think the movie makes a point. Kylo Ren makes a very big deal of take all the stuff in the past and get rid of it. Kill it, you know? So that's, as much as he's saying that to Rey, he's also telling the audience to basically, forget about all the stuff that you know from the original movies, the prequel stuff. We're going in a new path. Forget about the old characters. We're killing them all off. We're going on a new track now and accept this is Star Wars. So I feel like they're not going to bring the Sith back, and I have a feeling that Rey is probably not going to be like a full-on Jedi, especially not come the end of Episode 9. But I think it might just be the current circumstance that they're in, whereas one Last Jedi and one last Neo-Sith.
Yeah, Neo-Sith.
So yeah,
the Sith clan.
Oh, I think it was. I think the cool thing about Yoda though is just the way in which he calls Luke Skywalker's bluff. You know, like Luke's like, I'm gonna burn this tree down and everything. He takes his little torch and everything, and then Yoda's like, "Yeah, we are actually gonna burn this tree."
Yeah.
Just lightning from the sky.
Force ghosts have powers.
And apparently, they can interact with the physical world properly. He literally Force Ghost Yoda smacks Luke Skywalker in the head with his walking stick. Yeah. I was like, I didn't know they could do that.
No, neither did I. I think that's literally new Force abilities.
Like I said, there are some we've never seen. They did some interesting things with the Force in this film. The stuff with Kylo Ren and Rey, where basically two completely different environments, but they're able to talk. So much to an extent.
Although it has been done before. To a lesser degree, but it has been done before in Luke and Leia's connection.
That's a completely different thing, though. That's just a connection of feeling each other's presence. That's not literally visually seeing each other and talking to each other.
No, I believe she called out to him.
She might. They never touched hands.
They never touched hands, but she still called out to him.
and this is the weirdest bit, especially considering it is just the Force. I don't care how powerful Snoke is. Rey was in an environment that was pouring it down with rain. Kylo was in a very much dry environment, and he has raindrops on his hands after he's interacted with Rey. And I'm like, how?
Does it work like a warp tunnel? Force now?
I don't know.
Like light speed?
So that's like stuff I would like them to delve further into, because obviously the connection isn't broke.
What if Kylo was just drooling? I've never touched another human before.
Girl.
Down, Kylo, down.
Really, calm down. Yeah. I hope they dive further into that, because they still have that connection between each other. It isn't. I don't think it was severed at the end of the film. I think they showed you that the connection's still there.
I think it's weaker, but it's still.
So it obviously wasn't just Snoke that was causing it, or Snoke's woken something else up.
I think Snoke was amplifying it.
Yeah.
Especially the way that he was saying that. Oh, I got you two to do that. You're the reason why you're connected. I'm the reason.
And I think there's still some significance that needs to be established yet with Rey.
Yeah.
Because we find out who her parents are.
Potentially. Well, if it's not a what's it called?
Like a ruse.
Like a ruse, yeah.
The reason I don't think it's a ruse is because Kylo specifically says to Rey, "You know who your parents are already." And when he mentions who they are, she starts crying because it's like, yeah, I do know who they are. It's like she was in denial the whole time about the situation. And then that's one of the things I meant, like at the beginning of the show, where it's like they just answer stuff straight away, put a full stop on it. It's not like this big conclusion to everything. It's just like, nope, you were thinking about this like for 2 years straight. Well, that's gone now. Don't think about it anymore. But we still haven't fully dived into why it is that she's so insanely powerful with the Force. And I think they're gonna have to deal with that in episode 9. Why it is that she's so strong, and probably like you can kind of come up with a reason for why Kylo is as strong as he is. You know, he's like, I guess it would be technically 4th generation, probably 5th, 6th. I don't know how many Skywalkers there actually are. Because you got Anakin's mom, and then you got her parents.
Well, Anakin, Luke, and then he's 3rd generation.
But once again, Anakin has a mother.
4th generation, technically, because Anakin was allegedly created by Plagueis manipulating
and a mother.
Midichlorians. Well, yeah,
his mother was a Skywalker.
Well, wasn't she like? Well, since she was a slave, I'm going to assume that like she was given the name Skywalker.
I don't think she was. I doubt she was given the name Skywalker. So I don't know. Either way, he's 3rd line down of extremely powerful Force users, though. So it's easy to explain away why Kylo Ren's so powerful with it. But we still don't know why Rey. And it doesn't have to be that she's related to anybody. I think the whole point of the being like junkyard scrappers or whatever is to just establish Rey's Rey.
Yeah.
She's not related to anybody significant. She's her own character. And I get that. But it's still like, okay, well, you still need to dive into why it is that she has such a strong connection. You can basically give us any justifiable reason. But the fact is you haven't given us a reason yet. So I think they need to delve into that.
I think it's kind of, I know that they want to go a different line and like do their own thing with it, but it's kind of a missed opportunity if this, not to say that, it's a missed opportunity for them to not go down the route of, oh, she's a Kenobi, oh, she's actually related to Rey, and like she's a child from I forget names now. She's another kid from one of Han Solo's adventures, because he was quite allegedly a ladies' man kind of deal, and he has had many affairs with women and alien races. So it's kind of a missed opportunity to say like either she's a Kenobi or related to a Kenobi, or she's one of Solo's other flings.
Well, I don't think it would make a lot of sense if she was a Solo. Just in the sense that Solo wasn't a Force user, so it wouldn't justify why she's so strong in the Force anyway.
Not
that you need to be related to a Force user to be strong in the Force. Most Jedis didn't have Force parents. So Yeah, but at the same time, you know, there is a thing I've heard a lot of people talking about, like shrinking the universe. And I think if you make so many characters all related to characters that we already know, even despite the fact they're all introduced from completely separate parts of the galaxy, it really like shrinks the world a bit. So I think you keep the world big by having them not related to each other anyway, shape or form. And I have no problem with them doing that. You know, it was fun doing the whole speculation. I was rooting for Rey being the granddaughter of Obi-Wan Kenobi and everything. But I'm completely fine with her not being related to anyone.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing if they dive into why it is that she's as powerful as she is. Because I think that'll just be generally really interesting. It'll probably turn out there is a reason why there's a strong connection between her and Kylo. But we obviously can't speculate on what that is. But we mentioned earlier that they do some interesting things with the Force. There's that thing you mentioned, and that kind of threw you off. Do you want to dive into that?
Leia can fly through space. Literally, using the Force.
Yep.
Even though she is turning into an icicle. Even though she may or may not be inside the force field of the ship still. Yeah, you can fly through space with the Force now.
You see, okay. I agree with you in the sense that it was a bit of a surprise. I definitely wasn't expecting Leia to do that in the film. I actually almost was expecting to see Leia use the Force in some way or another in the film. I wasn't expecting that to be the way that she did it.
I was expecting when she was like reaching out, I was expecting her to get in contact with Luke and like give him the lowdown and tell her that she's just about to pass away and that she might be saying her goodbyes and stuff. Like reaching out, and it looks like she was actually reaching out towards like the outside rim of space and stuff, and like I said, trying to get in contact with Luke, which I think would have been a really beautiful way for her to go out on. Because it's visually really nice.
Yeah.
It looks fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
They give Carrie Fisher a really good scene. I got the name right, didn't I?
Yep. Yes, you did.
They give her a really good scene to be in, and I said this while we were walking back. It's not explained, and fair enough. You can have new Force powers. I don't deny that you can do whatever the fuck you want, essentially, with the story. But it's considering who she is, and it is established that she has got some kind of a connection with the Force. But surely stuff like that, even if she is in space and there's no gravity and stuff like that, there are other things to consider. That could easily explain away my difficulties with accepting it.
For me, once again, like I said, surprise, wasn't expecting the film. Maybe the actual way that she floated back into the ship was a bit weird, but the actual ability in it itself, I don't find peculiar, because I still kind of think, well, if you can use the Force to essentially pick something up and pull it towards you, there's no reason why you can't grab onto something with the Force and pull yourself towards it. You know, assuming that you're strong enough in the Force, but there's not exactly gravity keeping her down to the ground as a center point. If anything, the ship's more planted in space than what she is, so it would be easier for her.
Wait, wasn't the ship still traveling through space?
Well, yes, but just considering everything, it's more logical to believe that she would pull herself towards the ship as opposed to she would pull the ship towards her. Although that would have been an interesting one. She's floating out into space and she pulls the ship towards her to bring herself back in.
I mean, it's a weird thing with the Force now, because now I've kind of got that love-hate relationship with it. I really love the Force. I love the idea of the Force, but it's becoming a little bit. I think you mentioned it, like Harry Potter like.
Yeah. I mean, I can get that. I can understand that. I think it depends how far they go with what the Force can do. I think there is a limit to how far you can push the idea of the Force and what it can do, because it's going to get to a point where it's just such an overpowered thing that it's like it can easily become just a story plot piece to quickly write a character out of a situation, which I think it almost was for for Leia's character. But I don't know. I think it's interesting that they chose not to have that be the scene where she went out. But like the director specifically said he wasn't changing anything in the movie, just for the fact that she went. He was going to keep the movie the same, as like a respect to the character because she worked hard in the other scenes as well. So he wanted her to be seen and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just going to be really interesting to see what they do in the next film because it's one or two things: either you kill Leia off screen, which some would say is the best thing to do because there's no other way around it, or you recast the character and have another actress finish off the role that Carrie worked so hard on, which, if that's what's right for the character, I think the most respectful thing you can do is to have somebody else just finish off the role.
Yeah.
It'll be a little weird at first, but then you get used to it, It'll, like, if I'm marathon, I mean, I've not done this in many years, but if I'm going through all the Harry Potter films or whatever, it's a bit weird when you get into Prisoner of Azkaban and there's a different guy playing Dumbledore. But quickly I get used to it and then I'm fine and I move on. It's a bit different with Carrie Fisher, who's played Leia for some time now, considering the new films and when they were released. But you'll get through it.
Yeah.
It'll take you out of the film a little bit, but you'll get used to it and you'll accept it. I think there's some people that'll never be happy with it and just think it's completely disrespectful to have somebody else play the role. But to me personally, I think she cared about what was best for the character. She worked hard for that character. So the respectful thing to do would be to do what's right by the character and finish her off properly.
Yes.
As opposed to just killing her off because the actress died. So yeah, I'm sure we had a dozen other points to make about Star Wars.
I want to keep going. I really do.
I know.
I really do.
But we're already a lot longer than a regular podcast.
I'll say one thing.
Go on then.
One thing. I'm slightly disappointed that Snoke isn't just straight up just a giant. I'm a little disappointed in that.
I'm on the opposite spectrum because I remember when I watched Force Awakens and the first showed Snoke, I was like, oh, he's not some giant guy, is he? Oh no, don't do this. I don't want to see a section where they're like having to jump on him and everything.
Oh,
just try and slash stuff. And then when it showed that he was actually a hologram, I was like, fuck. So no, I was quite happy there. And to be fair, the stuff that he was in, considering he wasn't some giant, he was intimidating.
He was still pretty much a giant though.
He was very tall.
He was really big.
He was a very tall guy.
He had a very big face.
Yeah. And I was quite worried considering the fact that he was a CGI character. I was like, is now that we're not seeing him in holographic form, is it going to take it out? But I think they did a really good job with Snoke, basically.
I actually liked him in the gold. It suits the character oddly really well.
Which interesting choice that they chose from, but
I think it's the contrast with all the red. Because the whole room is practically just red with a black fog.
Although he's security staff. He's ninjas, which is pretty cool.
I forgot what they're called.
I don't remember what they're called.
They're called something. Palpatine had them too.
Palpatine had very similar people. But they were pretty cool. They actually had some pretty nice scenes back when Kylo and Rey were fighting side by side each other and just taking them all out.
Yeah.
So some of it actually reminded us of the Ninja Power Ranger thing because they're just one of the weapons that they had. But anyway, yeah. So I think with that note, mentioning Power Rangers in a Star Wars episode of a podcast, that's about time to wrap this thing up.
Pretty much.
There you go, guys. Well, we for those of you that stuck around.
Wait, we haven't given our verdict.
That's true. Did you give your verdict in... Oh, you did, yeah. Doesn't matter. Well, we give a brief verdict in the 20-minute section of the spoiler-free zone.
No, I mean like a proper... I forgot how
it
works.
Haven't seen... well, think about it logically, and you'll remember how it works. One word has two definitions.
Well, for the benefit of me and for the benefit of people who may not know about it...
Do you think the film was the right move...
Oh, okay.
You know. Once again, really do need to see the film a second time, but this is a situation right now where the more I'm talking about the film, the more I'm liking the film. And I think that's a very clear sign that I'm going to end up loving this movie. So Yeah, basically, I don't think any of our videos are up yet that have the rating system on.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe
but
not.
Basically, we have a very simple rating system. It's right and left. Basically, if it's right, we like it. If it's left, it's shit.
No. If it's, I believe if it's right, then we recommend you seeing it again.
Well,
or seeing it a second time.
We have two options. If we think it's good, it's right. If we think it's bad, it's left.
We introduced it in the Look Back series.
We did.
Yeah.
You'll find out how. Well, I don't think we explain it in there, but you'll see it.
We do explain it. We do.
Whatever. Either way. But I think you can clearly tell which direction I'm going in.
Yeah.
I'm sending this film straight to the right.
I'm going directly right, if not a little bit at an angle.
A bit at an angle.
A bit at an angle.
Right.
Because again, there's some things in there that I'm like.
Oh yeah, like if we run a numbered rating system kind of thing, this wouldn't be like 10 out of 10 kind of situation.
No.
But it'd be high. It'd be very high. And the more I talk about it, the higher it gets.
Yes.
So I think it'll be even higher after I've seen it. But yeah, it's definitely heading towards the right for me.
Yeah.
Most likely going to be my second favorite of the Star Wars films by the end of it all. So,
if not your third favorite, second favorite, because we've still got another movie in this universe to go. We
have several more in the universe.
In this galaxy.
In the trilogy.
That's specifically far, far away from here.
Yeah. But like in the trilogy, at least, I think if we're not counting the solo films and all that stuff. Then yes, I think that film is going to be the one that's ranked second highest. But I think for a while that's going to be the second highest one for me anyway. Unless Episode 9 or the solo movie blows my mind. And then maybe not. But I kind of doubt it.
I have a thing for the audience to do.
What?
So I came up with the thing that in a galaxy far, far away, specifically towards the
I have no idea what he's about to say, by the way.
Well, you know the credits, the beginning crawl. Where it's like in a galaxy far, far away. I came to the conclusion that it's going to be a bit odd if we're set in another galaxy that's even further away that we have the same in a galaxy far, far away. So after the next movie, we're going to be in potentially another galaxy even further away. So to the audience, I ask you, in the case where we're in another galaxy that is even further, if not a little closer, if somewhere in the middle between the galaxy that is far, far away, how would you start the opening crawl?
That's a good question. Also, right, just to throw it into the mix, since you're offering something, I'll throw in the very simple question that since it's most likely going to be in the same galaxy, just in a different period of time, what time period do you want to see?
Yeah.
The next trilogy.
Do you want to go further in the future?
Do you want to go so far in the future? So far in the past? Just in between?
Do you want an Assassin's Creed kind of dealy? That it's actually set in that time period where it's set in.
Want Ezio Auditore to show up on
yes,
Mustafa?
Yes, absolutely. Ezio Auditore makes anything better.
Right, you guys. One last favour, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Hit all those buttons.
All the buttons.
All the buttons.
Every button.
Thank you very much.
Go watch Star Wars.
Do it.
Do it.
It's good.
If you don't like Star Wars,
you should have left already if you haven't watched Star Wars.
You really should have.
Yeah.
Unless you're just looking for like some one-sided conversation.
Sure. Bye.
Bye. Belly button. And just to mention, because apparently we forgot this during the podcast.
Because we're morons.
Because we are literal idiots. Actually, are we figuratively?
No, we're idiots.
Okay.
We're idiots.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone. And happy holidays and all that.
Aye. Happy Hanukkah.
Yep, that too. Yeah. Hope you all have a good time.
Belly button?
No.